Hi hotties. So I have got the very lovely Mairi here who is going to speak to us about all things menopause, all things hormones. So I am going to pass you over to her right now and she's going to tell you a little bit about who she is, what she does, and we're going to kind of crack on from there. So Mairi, if you want to introduce yourself.
Absolutely. Well, good evening, hotties, or maybe it's the morning, maybe it's the middle of the night. Who knows when you get the chance to listen to this recording, this podcast. So, as always, a pleasure for Charlotte to invite me to come and talk to all of you lovely, lovely hotties. And as she said, my name's Mairi Taylor, and I'm based down in Leicestershire. But like Charlotte, we can reach women anywhere they are in the world at any time of the day or night, because that is the benefit of social media. Sometimes it's your best friend and sometimes it's your biggest enemy. So who am I? I am a well-being guide. I have a background in women's health and I'm absolutely passionate about hormonal health, and in particular educating and informing women in getting ready for, going through and transitioning through their menopause, because the more work we can do, the better informed we can be before we get there, then hopefully the easier we're going to move through with, as I like to say, with ease and grace. I'm a huge advocate of natural solutions. So I'm all about eating naturally, moving naturally, getting out in nature, using essential oils, crystals, all kinds of hippie woo-woo stuff, which actually does work when you incorporate it as stealth care into your lifestyle. And what I want to share with you this evening, as well as talking about all things nutrition, exercise, the importance of sleep and stress, because I think we really underestimate the importance of those things as we get older and as we move on. So as getting older is a privilege. Aging, I think, is sometimes a choice. And really that's what I'm here. I run workshops, I come on podcasts like this, I share information on my Facebook page and Instagram, and really I'm all about inspiring, educating and informing women so that they can become informed consumers of themselves.
Love it. So last time you came on, because you've done a live recently, haven't you, in my Strict Bear group, and the women in there found that so useful. And the burning question to begin with, and I think this starts in most places for a lot of women that I coach, is how can, and again, this is something we chatted about last time, how does going through the menopause or hitting kind of that perimenopausal phase, how does it inhibit your ability to lose body fat? That's a big question that keeps coming up time and time again, because we know that obviously on a foundational level, calories in, calories out, you've probably heard it a million times, but it's so much more than that, isn't it? So can you kind of explain a little bit about that for anybody who's listening? Because that usually, like I say, is the burning question. Why am I not burning fat like I used to? Why am I not losing weight like I used to? What's kind of going on there?
Yeah, well, I think there's a couple of things going on there. And one of the things we need to be aware of is the importance of estrogen for managing our insulin resistance and helping us that, because to make it really, really simple, and that's not to, belittle or undermine the situation, fundamentally, as we move towards our menopause, and you've already touched on the perimenopause, which can be the 8 to 15 years before menopause, then we become less resistant of carbs and less tolerant of carbs and less able to manage stress. So, and fundamentally, what are most women who sort of 35 plus, they've probably got a young family. And if they haven't got a family, they might be in the, going through their careers. And maybe as they go through, they've got teenage kids, they get elderly parents. They're still trying to eat and exercise in the same way that they used to. And fundamentally, we need to be looking at what we're eating, when we're eating, how we're moving, and more importantly, how we're managing the stress in our lives. Because as I said, we become less stress resistant, and stress doesn't just become busyness. It can also become inflammation and stress in the body through the kinds of foods that we're eating. So in that, our estrogen is lowering, which means we become less tolerant and able to manage that sort of insulin resistance. Then that's one of those reasons that we start to store the body fat, because we know our body's not working as efficiently as it used to. Doesn't mean it can't, but just means, we just need to tune things and tweak things and do things slightly differently. And also, because we've become less stress resistant, then we need to be aware of the fact that our bodies are incredibly clever, and our bodies and our minds, they don't understand whether we are being attacked by that saber-toothed tiger, or whether we're doing the school run, the work emails, the busy day at work, dealing with the bad colleagues, having to deal with whatever, the road rage, getting the shopping in, because we all know, we still do, most women are still living as if they were 1950s housewives. Not that there was anything wrong with being a 1950s housewife, but after the war, it's a known fact, most women do 3 jobs, and all of that, as we get older and our estrogen and progesterone are naturally lowering, we become less resistant of that stress. That then means that the estrogen and progesterone that are naturally lowering don't get lowered quicker or get out of balance, because the body starts to make the stress hormones, and then the body's like, oh, well, what do we do when we're under stress? We know the fight or flight. Well, we need energy to do that. So the body wants quick releasing energy. It asks the liver for glycogen, and it wants quick, easy store. So guess where it stores it? All around the belly. And then we work harder, we train harder, we eat less, we put the body under more stress, and we end up stuck with our 50, our menopausal midlife spread. When actually, most of us could do with changing what we eat, tweaking it slightly, lying with our legs up against the wall every now and again, and having a nice Epsom salt and aromatic bath, rather than going and doing another 300 park runs in one day.
I've had this conversation with a client fairly recently who was doing a million classes.
Yeah.
And I think when you're so used to that as well, it's very hard to get your head out of stop doing the exhaustive exercise, because I feel like we are very much in a go hard, go home.
Yes.
And it's very hard for a lot of people to kind of get the head out of, like, bring it down, calm down a bit.
Yeah. I had exactly the same when I used to run very similar programs to yourself. And I can remember, one lady, and she was coming and she was doing like 5 kettlebell classes a week, and she lost a lot of weight. And this is the thing, isn't it? Initially, when we make any switch or change, the body gets excited. It goes, oh, something's changed, boom, and then we plateau. And then we get frustrated, then we get disillusioned, then we think we've got no willpower. When we've got bags of it, we've just given it all away. Yeah. And I basically said to this lady, you need to do Pilates. And, she looked at me and she was like, no, I need to train more. And I said, give me 6 weeks. I want you to swap 2 of your kettlebells for two Pilates. If at the end of the 6 weeks, nothing's changed, money back, or, whatever. I said, just give me 6 weeks. Well, you and I both know what happened at the end of that 6 weeks. She absolutely dropped inches, weight, everything, because she was actually counterbalancing all the stress in her life, giving her body and her mind a chance to decompress, which then in turn was allowing her hormonal endocrine system to switch on and do its job properly and stop being in fight or flight mode. And she, it was fantastic.
Yeah. I think we forget as well, and I know again a lot of the women that are trained, is that when you are kind of not a very scientific way of naming it, but sort of hormonally out of whack, and you are putting that extra stress on your body, the kind of repercussions of that are things like you're going to want to eat more, you're going to want to, you know, there's all these other things going on that I think, you know, in theory, doing all this exhaustive exercise and thinking, well, if I do more and then I lose more and then I've got to eat less and then I lose more, just it's finding that balance, isn't it? And I think that's so hard for a lot of women to kind of comprehend and get their head around. Even with the sleep thing, like we were just saying, weren't we, before we popped on here, it's one of the most underutilized and kind of overlooked things, isn't it? Like the amount of women that I speak to and I'm like, how's your sleep? And they're like, oh yeah, and then a little bit down the line it will come out that, well, I'm actually not getting any sleep and I'm knackered. And again, which is kind of straightforward for my new mums. I mean, it's expected, isn't it? But then, you know, as you are older, and as your children have grown up and things like that, that really shouldn't, I mean, quite often it is, but shouldn't really be a thing. It's so important, isn't it? Even just to rest, recover. And I know you mentioned last time that all your hormones reset as you sleep, as we know.
Yeah. Oh, massively. And I think for me, you know, because we're talking on the 5th of June. I'm 52 tomorrow, 6th of June, D-Day, baby. And I have come to appreciate in the last 18 months just how important my sleep is. And it's a red light. It's an absolute red light. You know, one of the things I always ask women to do, you know, we can talk about poo and we can talk about sleep, you know, and if you've got a baby or you've ever had a baby, what are the two most important things? Sleep and poo. Sleep and poo. And when and then you know, and as adults, we forget the importance of sleep and poo. You know, poo is one of the biggest indicators of how well your body is functioning and what's going on there. And sleep is a massive, it's a resetter, it's a recharger. You know, as we said that the last time, you know, different hormones reset at different times of the night. The most, you know, important is your adrenals, which they're like your motor. They reset between 10 and 12. So if you're still Facebooking, Netflixing and whatever till midnight, well, forget it, because we have what's called the HPA axis. You know, some people, we used to call it adrenal fatigue, which isn't really a thing, but you know, the proper name for it is the HPA axis, which is your hypothalamus. So that's in your brain, your pituitary and your adrenals, and they're all talking to each other. And you know, the hypothalamus is taking in information, it's taking in emotions, what's going on externally, internally, sends a message to the pituitary, which says, right, we need to make these hormones, sends a message down to the adrenals. They're then meant to do, you know, produce and do whatever and send it all out. Well, if we are discombobulated, which is my word of the moment, that system becomes dysregulated, can't do its job properly. So then the body thinks, oh, what's going on? Again, let's make adrenaline, let's make cortisol. We're not going to bother making progesterone and estrogen because this person's fighting the world. And then we get lower and lower levels. Our sleep gets disrupted. We get achy joints. And when we're not sleeping through the night, we wake up. We then are in that elevated cortisol level because we haven't fully recharged. So like you say, let's not choose whether it's going to be cake or, you know, a nice high protein veggie smoothie or whatever for breakfast. I'm going for the cake and the cereals. I just want quick, easy carbs. I need energy. And then we're in that cycle, got sugar in the system, we're insulin resistant because we've got low estrogen, blah, 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 and we're just pushing up a hill. So for me, one of the biggest things, in the same way that if any of the ladies that you're working with have ever been parents, you know, I'm not a parent through choice, I've done it vicariously through all my girlfriends. You know, we all know that lack of sleep is a form of torture. Sort your sleep out, ladies. Get a bedtime routine. I'm a huge advocate of using essential oils for supporting sleep. It's been a game changer for me. But also blood sugar. If you're not eating enough because you're trying to eat less to lose the weight, because it's all about what's round your belly rather than what's in your mind and how good your skin's looking and whether you're hormonally balanced. I've gone to bed angry. I've been lying there awake, wired till 4 in the morning because I'm intermittent fasting and it doesn't suit me.
Yeah.
You know, and then the irony being, when I used to do a lot of intermittent fasting, I'd get up because I'd have lied there for 4 hours going, but I also know I was meant to be asleep 4 hours ago. And I'd have a little cup of chocolate milk, be out like a light, because I was giving my body just enough sugars to rebalance and get me out of that wired but tired mode. So long-winded answer, I think, to what you were asking me. Sleep is, you know, all of these things. You can't just exercise and eat, because you need nutrients. You need fat for your brain, you need fat for your hormonal well-being. You know, we do need some carbohydrates. I've definitely found as I've got older, I need carbohydrates more than I used to be able to manage to help my body function properly. You know, be the low carb queen, you know, gosh, never a spoonful of that, you know, those demon foods. But again, I don't know, again for you, I always get people that say, but I've been following this diet for 20 years. And I'm like, how's that working for you?
Absolutely, yeah. I think the other thing as well, and something that we did speak a lot about last time, that people are really afraid to do, is like, be your own detective and see what works for you. Give it time, get the guidance and give it time, and just see how you feel, reconnect to your own body. Because I think it is one of them, isn't it? And again, I know we did speak about this last time, but it's kind of not just following what somebody else is doing, even if they've got the same symptoms, even if, you know, because everybody's so different, aren't they? And what one works, again, it's like sucking eggs, isn't it? But what works for one person might not necessarily work for another person, or going through the phase, or going through changes. I suppose it's the same with anything, isn't it? But again, just kind of reconnecting and feeling what your body actually feels like.
Definitely. And I think, I don't know if you're sensing a change. You know, we've both been in this industry long enough to know that it used to be one size fits all. Everybody did this, and everybody did that, and then everybody did that. And there's a huge movement now, because, you know, this whole nutrition world is still so young. It's still, you know, it was really only going sort of like through puberty and coming out, you know, and maybe maturing a little bit and realizing that we are all so unique, you know, bio-individuality. But there are some underlying things that none of us could dispute. We all need to eat more vegetables. We all need to drink more water. We all need more joy in our lives. We all need to get out in nature. And we all need to eat some fat, because that whole low fat, you know, thing that came in the 60s, it's fundamentally, it's killing us. And I don't know about you, I'm a huge podcast listener. I love, you know, Dr. Chatterjee, because he interviews really great, well, he's a local lad for you, isn't it? You know, he interviews some really great high-end researchers. And there was a very, very interesting person, I won't even try to remember the name, but fundamentally, we've got to realize that some of this information we're fed with is research. It's not being practically applied. So like you said, Lotte, take the research, if it resonates with you, try it, like you say, try it on, give it time, and if it doesn't work, don't be afraid to stand in your own power and say, this doesn't work for me. You know, I've tried lots of things. I know what works for me, and it doesn't fit everybody else's guidelines. But at the end of the day, it's my body, it's my life, and I know what I need to do to make me feel good. And there's, you know, another great quote, which I've loved and I've heard quite often, and I'll use it again, is often the diet that heals you is not the diet that sustains you. So, you know, sometimes, yes, we might go low carb, high keto, you know, keto, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And that gets the body out of inflammation and it makes the changes and it does and this. But is that sustainable for you? Does that give, you know, I'm not pro anything. I know a lot of vegans who are turning back to eating meat because, or eating fish because they're actually no longer flourishing.
Yeah.
You know, on a vegan diet. Conversely, I know lots of people who aren't and going. It's not about giving title. It's how are you going to eat for you. But one of the important things for perimenopausal, and particularly, you know, perimenopausal is what we all are. I mean, I'm still perimenopausal. Is we need good fat, we need good quality, we need the fiber in, you know, the vegetables and a little bit of fruit as an accompaniment, and we need good sources of protein, whether you're going to choose that from plants or animals or where. And then on top of all of that, if you're worried about your weight or your body shape, yes, then you have to also take calories into account as well. So it's not pound of butter and this and that. It's using all to keep you satisfied, to keep your blood sugars balanced, because that's one of the worst things you can do, particularly, you know, are you perimenopausal or are you just hangry? Or God help us if you're both.
Yeah, absolutely. I know as well, last time we spoke a lot about how the menstrual cycle, it's like our just normal menstrual cycle without anything else brought into the equation, kind of affects us from one month to the next. And I think it's really funny how you know, a lot of us don't realise, and I didn't for a long time, that you will be weaker at certain times of the month. You will probably be more tired at certain times of the month, and it doesn't necessarily correlate with that time of the month kind of thing. But do you find a lot of women that you work with are noticing them things or having an awareness? Because I know a lot of the women that I work with and a lot of women that I speak to, they're not even aware of that. From the get-go, they just think they're having a rubbish day in the gym, but actually when you look at it over time, or, you know, they're having a day where they're really tired, but it does correlate quite often.
Yeah, and you know, definitely. And just to give a little bit of background on that, there's 4 phases to the menstrual cycle. So you've got menses, which starts first day of bleeding, and a normal period should be anything between 3 to 7 days. Less than 3, even though you might think hallelujah, isn't a great thing. And more than 7 days, you know, isn't good for us, either. And during that phase, that's when we want to be recharging and rebalancing and renourishing the body, because we are losing blood, we're shedding, you know, that uterine lining. We want to maybe be eating differently, so lots of nourishing root vegetables, so on and so forth. Some women, as soon as they start bleeding, will find that their energy starts to lift. Others will find that they feel really drained and tired. As we come out of our menstrual cycle and our estrogen level, which is our growth hormone, as that starts to rise, then our energy starts to increase, and really should be peaking round about ovulation. And just that week before ovulation, which is, you know, mid-cycle, whatever your cycle is when we're at our strongest. You know, that's when we can be smashing out PBs, we'll be lifting heavy, we'll be doing full press-ups, you know, clean and pressing, snatching, all the rest of it, running a marathon, so on and so forth. Then as we make the switch over at ovulation, estrogen goes down and our progesterone should come up. So around about this time as well, we're very group orientated. We like to be around other people. And then as our progesterone, you know, sort of starts to naturally drop off, and our estrogen as well, as we move towards our period, that's when we'll start to feel a drop in energy. We'll become maybe more insular, a little bit more analytical and self-critical, a little bit more annoyed with the world and those around us, feeling disrespected. You know, all of a sudden our energy will drop, and we're, you know, still trying to go hard or go home, and we're in the gym going, oh, I don't know what's up with me this morning, I can't do one press up, you know, and I'm always the crazy woman next to you going, where are you in your cycle?
Yeah, that's what
and, and women look at me as if to say, well, what's that got to do with well, it's got an awful lot to do with, you know, with what you're doing, because more importantly, if you just, you know, the week before your period, when you're in your self-critical mode anyway, and you're trying to smash it out in the gym, and you're trying to fight off all your carb cravings, and you're beating yourself up because you're saying, oh God, I've got no willpower, actually, doing Pilates or a yoga class, have some roasted vegetables, have a little bit of dark chocolate if that's going to stop you killing everybody inside, and just ease and grace, go with the flow. Because I mean, I'm one of the women who, as soon as my period starts, I'm back in the room. I you know, super strength, everything goes tra la 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 la, and then I get about 2.5 weeks of that, and then I get a week where I'm like, you want me to do what?
Yeah.
You know, there's no point even booking a PT session because I'm going to cry my way through it. And you know, a lot of us, I didn't know this until about 5 or 6 years ago, when I was doing my education and becoming an informed consumer of my own body. And I wish I had known it, because I'd saved my fortune and cancelled personal training sessions for starters.
Yeah.
And now, you know, I love a nature walk. Oh, you'll never see me run again in my life. Because when I trained for a half marathon, I couldn't stop eating cake. But yeah, and I think if the more we can share, this has got nothing to do with menopause. If we could explain this to teenage girls, young mums, you know, we'd all feel so much more confident in ourselves. And we know, you know, a bit more water retention. You know, I have a PT client. Last week she came and she looked a little bit, you know, swollen round her belly. This week she looks amazing. And sorry, I shouldn't say that. She looked amazing last week. Yeah. But you could tell she was holding a little bit of water.
Yeah.
But the body does.
Yeah.
So all we say is, I'm having a period, I'm feeling a bit bloated. Okay, am I drinking enough water? Am I having my water and lemon? Do I need an Epsom salt bath? Have I got enough magnesium supplementation going on? Am I having watery vegetables that are going to help with my body to do that? Or am I feeling miserable and stuffing myself with wine and chocolate? Not that there's anything wrong with that. But then please don't come and say, I don't know why I'm not losing the weight.
Yeah. So in terms of supplements, because I know you love an oil, don't you, as well? What can you kind of recommend then? So for anybody kind of going through this who's feeling a little bit clueless, or knows that they are having certain symptoms, or maybe they're having symptoms and haven't kind of correlated what they are, kind of thing, what can you sort of recommend? And I mean, obviously I know that it's going to be different per person, but as a general rule, are there things that you can kind of recommend to anybody watching that they can sort of research or try or look out for? Where would you start with that?
My biggest non-negotiable is an omega, is a really good quality omega-3 supplement. And you can get vegan ones and you can get obviously plant-based ones, because omegas are going to help to reduce inflammation in the body. They're going to support with the whole hormonal system, brain health, you name it. So for me, please, if there's only one thing you're going to do, I would really recommend I can literally tell within 3 days of not taking an omega, my mood will change. Everything, it's so integral to my well-being. And particularly if you've got any heavy bleeders in your community, then, you know, I normally go for about 2,000 milligrams a day, and most days whilst I'm menstruating, because I was somebody that had heavy bleeding. I would go up to 3,000 milligrams just whilst I'm bleeding, and then drop it back down again. So that for me is an absolute non-negotiable. The other supplement I would ask most women to look at and do their own research on it is magnesium. Because magnesium is essential for about 300 functions in the body. And most of us are deficient because of the way our food's produced, our lifestyles, it gets, you know, burnt out. And probably as well, if you're someone that's constantly fatigued, looking at a good vitamin C, because that's going to support your adrenal health. I take personally, I take a really good quality multivitamin, because even though I drink green juices and, you know, I eat on the whole good food, sometimes food doesn't interest me, so I can like not eat. But also, again, for those of us, unless you're eating, you know, exactly where all your food's coming and all the rest of it, most of us could probably do with some good supplementation, particularly of the B vits. Most of us are vitamin D deficient. So I know now all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, Mary, you've just given us a huge list. And again, you've got to do what you can afford to do. But if, you know, for me, non-negotiables as an omega-3, good quality one. I try not to go for an own brand from any, you know, big supermarkets or anything like that. Get a good, you know, get the best quality that you can. If somebody may be struggling with digestive health and digestive energy, you might want to start looking at digestive enzymes and seeing if you can support your digestive fire, because another thing that happens as we get older is our digestive fire can reduce, and that can then give, you know, that gas and bloating, which makes us feel really, really uncomfortable. Obviously, start with looking at, is there any particular food diary, being your own detective, is there anything you should be, you know, do you get gas and bloating every time you have a certain food? Or try and take, you know, don't just throw stuff on the bonfire and spend money that you don't need to spend. So those for me, definitely omegas, definitely looking at magnesium and vitamin D, because that comes up a lot for people, as you know, we're deficient in it because we're just not getting outside enough, and then we're smothering, you know, all those chemicals on our face with SPF 5000. It's like, actually try and get a bit of sun on your skin for a little bit. I'm not advocating burning, but 10 minutes and sunlight in your eyes and stuff, just to help your melatonin and everything, is all little, what I call, I've renamed everything now, I call it stealth care. It's those tiny little things. It's not like go out and do a massive big thing. It's in the same way, because obviously, as you know, like you said, you know, I use a lot of essential oils. I'm absolutely passionate about them. Most people are. Do you put a moisturizer on your face? Okay, put a drop of frankincense oil in your moisturizer, because frankincense is great for cellular renewal. It's very, very calming. It can support brain health, all those kinds of things. Do you put a body lotion on? Okay. Are you using a chemical induced one, which might be full of hormone disruptors? You know, is not, and is disrupting your body in that way and causing sinus problems? Why don't you get a really nice carrier oil and make your own smells up, and, you know, use good quality essential oils? You're doing exactly what you were doing, and those essential oils could be supporting you hormonally and could be supporting you emotionally as well, compared to what you're putting on. So, as I say, little stealth cares. What you're showering, what you're shampooing and conditioning, you know, your hair with, all those kinds of things. Now, don't get me wrong, you know, I've come back today from having my eyelashes tinted and my brows done. You know, I'm not sat here with hairy armpits, although if that's your choice, you know, everybody.
Down for that as well.
You know, I've been waxed to within an inch of my life. I only go about 3 times a year. We always have a laugh about it. But it was interesting because it was really, really sensitive today. But I'm at that time in the month when my period's about due. So we're more sensitive, pain receptors, you know. And the other thing as well, I think is really important for women who are in that perimenopause and getting closer, is our immune system starts to drop. Again, you know, because again of those estrogen levels. So we need to be really looking after our immune health. And again, stress, sleep, what we're eating, what we're drinking, what we're thinking, who we're around. All of those things are going to have a huge impact on, you know, keeping our immune system healthy as well. But then again, omegas will help, magnesium, vitamin D, all those kinds of things.
Yeah. And it is just finding what helps you, isn't it? I mean, it's, I imagine there might be some people listening to this thinking, oh my God, but it is just, again, isn't it? Be your own detective, see how you feel with it.
Yeah. Do one thing.
Yeah.
Just, if I, you know, absolutely, you know, if people came and, you know, looked at what I did, it probably feels a million, you know, it's probably a million miles away from what's nowhere near what people I know do, or are making their own deodorants and their own everything, you know. I still get products off the shelf. I just make sure that, you know, they've not got any nasties in there. And it's like, what's the one thing, you know, if you love to put, if your only self care each day is putting a body lotion on that smells really nice, great, just check that, swap it for something that's going to smell nice and do you well.
Yeah.
You know, it's simple as that. And, you know, just if you're not on any supplements or anything at all, and you're thinking, oh, you know, just try one. Go for an omega, good quality omega. That's it.
Yeah. So in terms of nutrition, what would be your guidelines then? Because again, this is one of them things that is going to be different for everybody. What would be the, again, not even non-negotiable, I suppose, but where would you start looking for somebody who is not really knowing a lot of what they're doing with food? They're trying to diet, for example, not really getting anywhere. They're making the symptoms worse, maybe unbeknownst to them, they're making them worse. What sort of things would you start looking at in terms of nutrition?
I think one of the biggest things I'd be looking at is how much plants are you having every day. You know, so I'm someone, I have salad for breakfast. You know, we eat both me and my partner will have vegetables for breakfast. You know, he's cooking up a load of broccoli and whatever now for his dinner. He'll make enough for tomorrow morning, because we have plants we have, you know, vegetables at every single meal. Now for some people, they're probably like retching into the
Not gonna lie, I'm one of them.
Yeah. So, you know, so like I say, so I'm going to share a really great model, and you've probably heard it before as well, Charlotte, and I got it from Metabolic Effect when I did my training with them from Jade and Keone Tita, and they basically use a model called HEC, hunger, energy and cravings. And we want to eat as little unprocessed food as possible for me, you know, for me. Don't get me wrong, there are days you know, I like sweet chili dipping sauce on everything, and it serves me well. It can make but when you eat what you're eating, what they basically say is you should be monitoring your hunger, your energy and your cravings through the day. So if you eat a meal and you're still hungry after it, did it have the right amount of fat? Did it have the right amount of carbs? And did it have the right amount of protein for you and fiber? So looking at your plate, have you got fiber on that? Have you got fat? Carbs. And it's the carbs that need to be tweaked for most people. And what I've come to learn is at different times of the month, I'll eat more carbs than at others, because I've stopped fighting the need to do that. And if you're finding that you've got really low energy, you're probably not eating enough. And I don't know about you, I've also got what I call sleepy foods. There are some foods I can eat and literally I'm on the sofa asleep within about 10, you know, they just knock me out. So they're not great energy providers either. Are you craving? So if you're craving during the day, again, that's telling us that there's something missing in your plate. So it's just, I like to look at a plate and go, half the plate should be vegetables. There should be protein on there, and there should be some fat, and then there should be just the right amount of carbs to keep you, you know, energized and going, and so forth. So I don't know how helpful that is, because until I see what someone's eating, I need to see someone's diary. And I find sometimes when people keep their own diary, it's like, I'd always ask people to keep a sleep and mood diary as well, and ask them to, you know, when they're writing down the meals, how were they feeling before the meal? How did they feel after? Were they satisfied? And then start again. It comes back to this being your own detective.
Yeah.
Now, the worst thing anyone could do is go, oh, Mairi Taylor said eat more vegetables, and tomorrow they go and put, you know, 2 pounds of spinach on the plate and eat, or a whole head of broccoli and all the rest of it, and then end up with gas and bloating and constipation or whatever, because the system can't cope.
Yeah.
But yeah, eat more vegetables, eat more real food, and make sure you're not. And make sure, for me, I need 3 meals a day. There's also been some really interesting new research come out about the time that you eat your food in. So there's research that's come in, that new research that's showing, for some people, it doesn't matter what you eat, it's when you eat it. And when eating within a 10-hour window is the best for most people. So they've done all this research, and they've shown whether people would eat exactly the same, but the people who ate it within a 10-hour window lost more weight or felt better than those that were eating over a 12 or a 14-hour window, which kind of brings us back a little bit to intermittent fasting and the fact that there should be a break between what we're eating. We don't need to be constantly grazing and eating all day, every day.
Yeah.
And I don't know, again, you know, and that works for some people and it doesn't for others. But, you know, that's my partner now making his dinner. We can sometimes eat at like 9, half 9 at night.
Yeah. When I get home from here, I'll have my late tea.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to do at the moment, because I'm in that interesting phase of, and I wouldn't say the thing that I'm doing isn't working, because I've not been doing anything, but I'm like, okay, how do I just get myself back in a little bit of a groove? And, you know, for the last week, I've made sure that I'm eating within sort of like 8 to 8. Yeah. And I'm not feeling bloated, and I'm not feeling as and, you know, but that's what's working for me. But as I say, nutritionally, particularly for the perimenopausal woman, do not be afraid of fat. But this is an advocate to go out and eat cream cakes. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about your oily fish, we're talking about your avocados, we're talking about your nuts and your seeds within the guidelines of what it is you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, definitely. So I think we've pretty much covered so far what I kind of had written down question-wise anyway. So can you let everybody know, if people want to know more about the stuff that you've spoken about, where they can sort of find you and your stuff?
Yeah, absolutely, my stuff. So I'm on Instagram, MT06Fab, and you can find me as Mairi Taylor on Facebook. I am a social experiment next week, so I'm not sure when you're putting this out. I'm going to take Facebook and Instagram off my phone for a whole week while I go on holiday.
Oh my God, what a dream.
I honestly, I am like, I have to do it. I need an out of office, and I need to go away and just
love that. Yeah,
regroup, recharge, and just not get freaked out by, oh my gosh, I'm not worried about missing anything. I'm worried about how many messages I'll have when I get back.
That's it, isn't it? When you do the kind of like work that we do, you will end up with but it's just a week of nothingness would be amazing.
Yeah, we're going away, we're going to Jersey, we're going to do nice things. I'm like, do you know what, I don't want to spend it scrolling and looking and sharing, because I share a lot, as you do too, and it's like, no, let's give everyone a break. Yeah.
You've had enough of me this week. Bye-bye.
Yeah, doing the big birthday, so something, you know, yeah. So that those are the two main ways that you can find me. A bit like you know, I do some online programs specifically around hormonal well-being and spoiling. I call it your Spoil Yourself program, where you can spend a week with me, and I share essential oils with you and little stealth cares, and just to introduce you to those things. And that's a perfect complement for what you're doing with your, you know, with your ladies in the program as well. And it gives them a little, like, it's like a try before you buy, and then they can see whether it does or doesn't fit into their lifestyle. So yeah, that's where you can find me.
Love it. Well, thanks very much for coming on again.
No,
and chatting to everyone, because I think, you know, things like that, as we know, are so useful. And I think it's one of them, isn't it? You don't know what you don't know. So hopefully anybody listening's kind of found that useful. Be your own detective is the main message, I suppose, from all this. And also not to get overwhelmed, I guess, as well, trying to sort of do everything and be everything and freaking out that, oh my God, I haven't been doing this and now I need to do these million things, one thing at a time, isn't it?
Yeah. Just think, you know, from the whole discussion that we've had, what's the one thing that you think I need to dial that up a little bit in a positive way? Yeah, it's the last thing we need as a perimenopausal woman is overwhelm and more stress. That isn't good for us at all. And I think the other thing is, as well, my last note, Charlotte, is it's nothing to be afraid of.
Yeah.
Because you can be an informed consumer of your own body. And if you aren't feeling right, don't be fobbed off with what do you expect, it's your time of life. But I would ask you to reflect on what we've shared and think, where's the stress? What's my sleep like? Am I following the nutrition plans that I've been given? Am I over exercising? Am I still in that go hard or go home mindset? You know, and just find out what works for you, and don't be afraid to come and say to you know, your trainer, your coach, you know, your inspirational guru, that's not working for me. We'll still love you.
Yeah.
In fact, you more, because you're going to help more women.
And it's better to know, isn't it? I mean, on our end, it's better that because obviously we're not, you know, we're not mind readers, so if you don't tell, we don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, love it. Right, well, thank you very much for all your input, and I'm sure we'll crack on again sometime soon. Matt as well. We'll catch up again soon. So thank you so much again for coming on, and I will see you soon.
All right, bye.
See you later.